41 Ford 9N. We've got to drain the transmission, transaxle, transfer case, the whole works here. So there's a drain plug there and a drain plug up there. We're draining the oil out and take this side cover off. It's got the dipstick here, and the side cover off the other side. And then we got to drop this plate right here, and this bottom plate here holds the pump up inside there. So there's a couple other things we got to do to take the PTO shaft out the back, and we're going to lower that pump down, lower that plate down. We'll take those 4 bolts off and slide the PTO shaft out. PTO shaft drives the pump on the other end. And when we lower that plate down, there's so much gunk built up in the bottom of that transmission that the pump has got wax from the old oil built up like sludge, and it's interfering with the valves, so the lift doesn't want to go down when you tell it to go down. It just wants to go up all the time. But we can fix it, so that's what we're going to do. The oil is draining, both plugs are out, side covers are off, and right down in there you can see the pump, and you can see the shaft going into the pump, and that thing right there drops down on both sides of that shaft. It's a fork, and that's how this lever up here controls the valves. So you can see it run all the way down there to that T. So I've got to disconnect that fork from the valve shaft inside there before I can lower the plate with the pump out of the bottom of the transmission. The PTO shaft has been disconnected and slid out. So you take those 4 bolts out of that bearing flange, and then the shaft slides right out of the pump. And this, by the way, has been upgraded to the class 1 or whatever the standard for today's PTO attachments. It originally had a smaller spline shaft there, and it was replaced by the previous owner to work with standard attachments for today. Now, I've also disconnected the valve lever fork. I'll try and show that. Down there you can see that little piece going across. You can see where the drain plug was pulled out from the bottom. There's my finger. And this piece right up here is the valve lever, and I've disconnected it from the fork on both sides, so that we can drop that cover plate off the bottom and the pump will come out with it. Check this bad boy out. So there's the pump. It sits right on that plate, and it's an open case pump, so it's submerged in the hydraulic oil, so there's no reason for it to be closed up like you would see on an externally mounted pump that has to pull the hydraulic oil through a pipe. This just sits down there in the sump, and it just draws the oil in all throughout the open case. And right here, the fork attaches. You see the little balls on the end of this T-bar, and the fork attaches right to that. And when you stroke this in and out, it operates the lift. The PTO shaft comes in from this side, goes right into that hole where those splines are, and when the PTO shaft is turning, then this pump is turning. And you can see there's just all of this thick sludge. This is like the residue from 80 years of old oil sitting down in that sump, just going bad. And whether it's been changed or not, it's not really been flushed out. So we're going to get this all cleaned up. I'm going to have to take this side and this side off the pump housing to get access to the valves and the ports on the valves, to get them all cleaned out so that this thing will work properly.